The 4th of July, 2013, a sad day indeed for America. In 1776, a small band consisting of the original 13 colonies broke away from Great Britain to escape their oppressive government, central banking system, unjust laws, unjust taxation, to form a more perfect union here in the United States. And where do we find ourselves today? Under the same type of oppressive, fascist regime we vowed to escape from and never let happen here again. You see, a democracy is always, according to Alexander Tyler, a temporary institution in nature. It simply cannot exist as a permanent form of government. A democracy will continue to exist up until the time that voters discover that they can vote themselves generous gifts from the public treasury. From that moment on, the majority always votes for candidates who promise the most benefits from the public treasury, with the results that every democracy will finally collapse due to loose fiscal policies, which is always followed by a dictatorship. There are 7, or I should say 8, cycles in all great civilizations. And the world's greatest civilizations from the beginning of history have only lasted about 200 years. During those 200 years, these nations always progressed through the following sequence. 1. From bondage to spiritual faith, which was what drove the colonists to the United States to begin with and form the United States. Number 2. From spiritual faith to great courage, the Revolutionary War, the Civil War. Number 3. From great courage to liberty. Number 4. From liberty to abundance. Number 5, from abundance to complacency. 6, from complacency to apathy. 7, from apathy to dependence. And finally, number 8, the stage we're in now, from dependence back into bondage. Our Declaration of Independence states, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitled them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that's us. That whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it, and to institute a new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that government long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are more disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they were accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations pursuing invariably the same object evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism. It is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. I would like to propose that we are at this stage right now in our history, in our country. And I would just like to read you a few of the allegations presented against the King of England by the colonists, to which they felt it necessary to separate from the king. Or in this case, I want to bring to you some of the parallels that are going on in this government today. He has refused his assent to laws, the most wholesome and necessary for the public good. He has refused to pass other laws for the accommodation of large districts of people unless those people would relinquish the right of representation in the legislature, a right inestimable to them and formidable to tyrants only. He has dissolved representative houses repeatedly for opposing with many manly firmness of his invasions of the rights of the people. He has endeavored to prevent the population of these United States for that purpose, obstructing the laws for naturalization of foreigners. Can we say illegal immigration? Refusing to pass others to encourage their migrations hither and raising the conditions of new appropriations of lands. He has made judges dependent on his will alone for the tenure of their offices and the amount and payment of their salaries. He has erected a multitude of new offices and sent hither swarms of officers to harass our people and eat out their substance. He has kept among us in times of peace standing armies without the consent of our legislators. He has affected to render the military independent of and superior to the civil power. The king was also accused of quartering large bodies of armed troops among the people of the colonies, for imposing taxes on us without our consent. And by the way, I might add here that the 16th Amendment states, the Congress shall have the power to lay and collect taxes on incomes from whatever source derived, without apportionment among the several states, and without regard to any census or enumeration. This is in direct contrast with the United States Constitution, and the 16th Amendment was never passed. And I did a video on that about a week ago. Moving on. For imposing taxes on us without consent, for depriving us in many cases of the benefit of trial by jury, the NDAA, for transporting us beyond seas to be tried for pretended offenses, again, the NDAA, for suppressing our own legislatures and declaring themselves invested with power to legislate for us in all cases whatsoever. Do we not see that happening now by executive order? Continuing. He is, at this time, transporting large armies of foreign mercenaries to complete the works of death, desolation, and tyranny already begun with circumstances of cruelty and perfidy scarcely paralleled in the most barbarous ages and totally unworthy the head of a civilized nation. Drone strikes, setting up insurgencies in foreign countries to bring those countries and those legitimate governments down. And last, in every stage of these oppressions, we have petitioned for redress in the most humble terms. Our repeated petitions have been unanswered only by repeated injury. A prince whose character is thus marked by every act which may define a tyrant is unfit to be the ruler of a free people. These are just 15 of the 30 charges that were brought by the colonists against the King of England in order to declare their independence from a tyrannical government. I propose that this administration, as well as the decades of administrations that preceded them, is guilty of implementing and instituting the very same charges that were brought against the King of England by the original colonies. I propose that we've come full circle in the 200-year cycle of powerful governments, powerful nations that have risen and fallen. We've come from a point where we attempted to escape bondage and oppression to full circle where we now find ourselves at a point of bondage and slavery. We not only have a right, but as Americans, we have a responsibility to rectify this. We have a responsibility to oust or replace a government that no longer serves the people with a government of the people, for the people. This is our right. This is our responsibility. Something must be done. I'm afraid that short of a military coup, I don't know how this could be accomplished in America, given its vastness. I mean, it's not the size of Syria, it's not the size of Egypt or Libya, but we have to come up with something. And I would like to propose that we use this forum here on this channel to discuss some of these options. Time is running out. Thank you for watching, and please share this video.